Hello students, very good morning and a big blessed Friday to you, all of you. Today we will discuss about organization practices. That is also an important part of organization culture. And in the last lecture we have discussed about the organization culture. So this organization practices also associated with the cultural part of organization. So we will discuss today what cultural practices refers to. The behavior, it refers to the behavior and actions within an organization. So ultimately it is related to the humans. Organizational practices refer to the behavior and action within an organization. The behavior and action, whose behavior and action? It is the behavior and actions of the people who's working there, the personnel, the professionals, and it is influenced by shared perceptions. So perceptions are also an important terms to discuss here. The perceptions of employees regarding the organization environment, including policies, procedure, and practices, are involved here. So, while discussing about the organization culture, we should not forget about the practices involved. What is the practices in an organization? So, that is the organizational practices. So, we have to study about that also in an elaborate way. What are the example of organizational practices? Whatever in the organization involved is directly related to the practices. So, we have must know the what are the practices, common examples of practices are organization structure, how you organize work. This is the practices, how you organize. Practice means something doing, you something, whatever you do or whatever you used to do in organizations. So organizational structure, how you organize work, this is also a practice, including your job titles, your designation, everything. So system and processes for doing employee roles, there are also systems. So whatever the systems they are following to work or handle the employees, the authorities handling, that is are the practices of the bosses, of the leaders of the organizations. Then come work habits. This is also a practice. Work habits of your colleagues, your co-workers, or whoever working in team or as an individual in organization. Work habits, that is so daily habits of employee, or the patterns of employee, how he works in there. So recruitment and selection is also a practice, how you practice to recruit a new employee. So for recruitment you need to do some common, you have to be adhere to some common rules and practices of organization. So these practices also involve the recruitment and selection of employee, onboarding, and the employee. We have to be particular about the experiences of the employee also. So this also involve the, what experience he is gaining from that practices, on board, and the employee experience, what experience he is gaining in organization while doing certain practices. The practices also adhere to some organizations culture, that is also related with the culture of an organizations. So we have several things to practices, we have to discuss here about employees practices, and what organization culture practices are. Whatever the culture of an organization, that is the practices are directly involved to the culture of an organizations. So what are the organization culture practices? You have to be in mind, like organization culture is a set of values. I've told you in the last time, set of values, belief, attitude, system, and rule that outline influence employees behavior within organization. So that is also, the practices also directly link with the culture of an organization. So we must be keep in mind the cultures and the practices going hand in hand. That is, the practices are the part of the culture of organization. Whatever the culture of an organization, the practices are directly link, or whatever it is, be with connection with that. So what are the organization culture practices? We have discussed what is organization culture, we have discussed. Now so many questions are here, which comes in this part, and which have to be deal, like what is organization practices, what organization organized practices, what are the four types of organization culture, and what are practice examples of the practices, and what are the four types of organization cultures. You must read, you must go through such things, such topics, and make some notes and explain to me in the next turn when I will be here. I just want to know about some of the questions, some of the explanations about the practices or the organization culture and the practices they follow in that.